Hello and welcome to Sweep and Chat. This is the podcast where I, Zach, talk the times and sweep the minds. I messed that up. I'm with my guests, Tzankov, Skyler, and Anish, and
Shalom.
maybe Manny.
If he decides to regain
If he d-
consciousness
if he-
after his humiliating defeat.
His humiliating defeat in
He
Death
got
vs. Monsters.
He got owned.
He got owned.
Oh, wow.
Okay, look, I think I might need to increase the number of mines.
An amazing start.
That's fair.
Okay, let's just bump that up to 400.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Look. There we go.
Oh my god.
You
That
made a
was just
fidget
a-
spinner.
Alright, so now you're gonna have to entertain us, Tzankov.
Oh, okay.
You made a. I mean, you're ruining it,
Um,
but you made a fidget spinner
What do you
How
mean?
was everyone's day today?
or a three-leaf clover.
It's look. Quarantine has been hitting hard.
It has been.
That's gonna date this video.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't care.
definitely.
For all
Yeah.
for
Well,
all
like
of-
when historians look back on like how people,
they'll be watching Sweep and Chat.
yeah, they'll be watching Sweep and Chat.
They'll be what? What did
Yeah, no, something has to
Really,
go
when-
really wrong for us to
Oh.
actually record another one. That's
Dude,
so
okay.
embarrassing.
you suck? I'm
Can't believe
sorry,
that.
Zach, but you had one of
That's
the best plays
actually
in your life,
sad.
and then you just have one of
How
the
long
worst
did it-
plays in your life.
Look,
How long is it?
there's nothing I can do here.
Yes, there is.
Oh wait, there might be. Hold on. No, keep talking. Don't keep
Come on, come on,
talking.
Zach. I know
Look, the two on the right, Zach. The two on the right,
Oh,
You just
shut
told
up.
him.
dumbass.
Oh wait, are we supposed
I
to?
would have found
You guys
it.
started without me?
Oh,
You were having a mental breakdown.
Is it recording?
Yeah,
We didn't.
Yeah.
know we
You're
were-
gonna say that out loud?
yeah.
And here's
Do I
me.
get,
Because-
do I get to introduce myself?
No.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So
Oh.
what's the tone for this episode? What should I like?
Quarantine.
No, what's the tone?
There isn't
Um,
particularly.
There isn't a tone.
Oh my.
That's so
God.
embarrassing.
I can't
Look.
believe
Hi,
it.
I'm
It's
Manny.
been like a minute.
Look.
Okay, are we gonna have to do what we did in the first episode and have you start at an easier difficulty?
No,
You're a
no,
baby.
I'm good.
I'm a baby. That's what you
Are
sound
we
like.
supposed to help him?
No, I'm good.
I don't
I'm
know,
good.
I
No,
wasn't
the
in the
Minesweeper.
Tzankov
The
bit, so I
Minesweeper
think-
is just supposed to be something to watch while we talk. Not, it's not supposed to be the centerpiece.
Wait,
I
I
don't
thought
know.
that this was
Seems like
a
half of the-
Zach,
professional
I think the
live-
channel has been going down south. I think we need
What here on episode 3?
It's like I think we need to analyze the demographics.
Yeah.
I don't think
have
we're
to-
appealing to the
yeah,
female
yeah.
demographic.
The
much.
female demographic? No,
You have
I
to
don't think
appease
we
to a
are.
new audience.
No, but the point of the point of the anime gifts is
The
to
what?
appeal to the female
The what?
demographic.
The what?
Oh,
The
what?
what?
Sorry, I don't know. I don't know what got into
God!
No.
How?
Have you been using?
How did you? It's
What?
been like 2
me there.
minutes.
Sorry, I forgot that we aren't supposed to mention them.
It's
Mention
been
what?
like 2.
Yeah, mention what? Anish, what are you freaking out about?
Nothing at all.
Anyway,
You ever see Alf?
no, I haven't actually.
I've not seen Alf. No.
I need to rewatch Alf. I was just thinking about it.
Why do you need to rewatch
Is,
Alf?
is it that
Which
good?
one's Elf?
Is it a good
No.
show?
I don't remember. That's why I need to rewatch it. I watched
So what are we
like
supposed to be talking about?
What do you mean? What are we supposed to be talking about?
Sweet
Like what?
Check Manny. Check the script. It's page 4.
We're on line 8.
Is that? Wait, hold up. You guys actually wrote we're online. Oh my god, that's pretty diligent.
man,
Alright.
this is our greatest work yet.
It doesn't say that.
And,
Oh, line.
I was
line...
doing some
Oh no,
ad-libbing.
he doesn't have the edited draft.
I was doing some ad libbing.
Oh.
Alright, now that we're going off
Oh
script
my!
for once.
This
Yeah,
channel's
all of
great.
my failures in Minesweeper are scripted.
Looking
This isn't
more
actually in real
much
time. This is a
Minesweeper.
recording.
Uh-huh.
It's a
Enter the
recording of me playing
Wait,
This is a
Minesweeper.
commentary channel.
Watch, next movie's gonna make it up a flag right there. Oh my.
Look, I'm about to tell you the entire layout from top left to bottom right. Okay, 1 bomb, 3 bomb.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say all the numbers now. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1.
My God.
Ah,
The training camp.
Ooh, good job.
The only joke I remember now was when the dad
He
was in
ate
the
the cat.
shower.
He
No,
ate
What's
the
like the
cat.
joke per minute for an average episode of this?
Don't
2.
care.
for an average
Zach said
episode of what? Sweep and Chat?
Yeah. What
Sweep-
else are we talking about?
Sweep and Chat sucks.
He said we
Wow.
change that. I'm
Sweep
gonna
and
change
Chat
that.
is garbage.
He said
gonna
we
change
can't
that.
say the N word and we can't interrupt the intro. So you can interrupt
Those are
him
the
now.
only 2 rules.
Intro.
But I can say any other bad word.
Yeah,
Sure.
Expletive.
I said
I don't
sex
want
now
to.
a few
I
times.
just wanna. I
Short.
wanna freestyle. Can we like get a
The
freestyle?
only
going?
joke I remember now was that
Well, I mean, you gotta
the,
play it through
the
your mind.
dad was in the shower.
But my brother's sleeping
He
in the
was like,
background.
"Al,
Someone, then he
can
put
you
on a
get
beat.
me
I
a
trust
towel?"
you.
What? No, I'm
Then Alf said,
literally on
"Okay."
this on
He
my
gave
phone.
him toilet paper.
So what?
Good one, Tzankov.
It's the only joke I remember.
That's a good one.
That's
So I
not
need to-
major.
I need to rewatch it to know if the show was any good, or if I was just a young child.
A young buck.
Eh.
If
Young
I
game
was a
cove.
What is
Caleb.
it called when someone tells a story in like a thing? There's
Parable.
like a fancy word for it.
An anecdote.
Exactly. Thank you. Why is it called an anecdote? What does that mean? It's
I
really
don't
the story
know.
with a message.
Let's look up etymology.
I have an anecdote if you guys would like.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's.
Sure.
I wanna.
Yeah. Shoot.
Alright. So, I was gonna say I was walking down the, but I wasn't. I'm in my house.
Okay.
I don't actually have
Oh no, this is interesting. I'm
Hmm.
looking at the etymology. Comes from the Greek word anecdota, which means things unpublished.
Okay, I'm not gonna address
Back in
the first anime girl, but what's the tree spinning in the background?
Wait.
And what's the girl
Yeah.
underneath her doing?
No, that's a. Is that a girl?
There's a
that's
skirt.
a
What do you?
girl.
Oh yeah, that is
What-
a girl.
What are you guys talking about?
We're talking about the
Well, I can see- I
landscape
can-
background that I have here.
Uh-huh. The
Yeah, I
MS
actually
Paint
saw the anime
background.
this is from.
Yeah.
Shut up. Anish.
I'm trying to think. Tell me like topics, and then I'll try to think of an anecdote of those topics.
Zach,
Banana.
your board looks like a little bit
That's
like
not
a snail.
topic.
Oh,
Banana is a topic.
someone else.
If you're clever enough.
Okay, well watch this. Banana. I'm gonna transfer that to food. Okay.
Okay, wait.
Food.
I
I'm gonna
actually have a
transfer that to
banana.
restaurant.
I have a bananecdote.
Bannon.
An anecdote.
Alright,
I have-
give your
Banana.
anecdote.
I have a
I'll
bananecdote.
give my Applebee's anecdote. 2 for 20.
Hey, I have
So-
a banana.
So
I'm referencing that every year.
I was wait, I wasn't doing anything. Okay. So in
I
my
made
house,
that
right?
joke.
In my house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We usually have bananas.
Uh-huh.
You know, enough bananas, you know, for like a few days. But we go out and we get bananas fairly often. But this thing of bananas that we got, it stayed green for like a solid month and a
That
half.
one's clean. Yeah. Is
Like-
that it?
How?
Like a solid month and a half, and we don't
Wait,
know
how?
how. They're still they only just started turning yellow a couple days ago, and we bought another bunch of bananas because we were scared of the first batch of bananas, right? And the second batch of bananas has already gone brown. Like it's already gone. But one of the bananas from the first batch is still there, still a little bit green. And like
Huh.
we do not know how. I've never seen that before in bananas.
You should sell it. It's rare.
Well, it's slowly going bad.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they could use
The
they could use
advanced
the
banana
genome.
science.
Yeah, they could use the genome in it to plant more bananas that last an abnormal time.
Bananarama. Okay,
Banana.
so that was my bananecdote. Manny, you said you had a Applebee's related anecdote.
What was
See,
the
I
book
do,
about the bunny
but I
that
don't
was
know
a vampire?
What?
Funicula, get out of my house.
Banicula. That's what it was. I got reminded you were talking about fruit and about Banicula the whole time.
Alright. We're in Applebee's, right?
Mhm.
And you know, to paint a picture for you.
Oh, Zach, now it looks like a chicken.
Okay, no, you know that's fine.
A chicken with a hat.
Anish
See
is
it?
very
Do you see it?
easily
Do you see it?
distracted, Manny. Just ignore him.
It looks more like an ostrich, really.
Wait, that his name's Anish?
What the fuck are you
Yeah.
talking about?
I thought his name was Dumb Idiot Who Interrupts Anecdotes.
Wait a minute.
Oh, I
That's
must
his
not
slave
oh,
name.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's my Native American name.
He's gonna see this. He's not
Yeah,
gonna
no.
see this.
Anyway.
Okay, so to paint a picture, right? I believe we had like well, to start off the meal, we had the you ever get that stand down with your family where it's like everybody else gets a water, but you're like, I want a soda.
Yeah.
So like the
yeah.
waiter asks you last, and you're like, I'm gonna get a soda, and everyone else got water, and you just go, you know.
Yeah.
So it started off like that, right? So I'm already like on edge, I guess. You know, it's like, and then my little brother and sister are playing with the shitty. You know they have like little tablets now. They have like
Yeah.
little
Uh-huh.
the shitty
Haven't
little
been there
the
in a
shitty
while.
itty bitty.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a
Which
while.
which I don't like. Like it just like
So they have like a what's it called? It's like a 45-degree angle iPad on the
yeah,
table.
no, I know what you're talking about.
I'm
Oh,
explaining
wait.
for Tzankov.
No,
But,
I was there. Yeah.
You can like you can click on it and like order food off of it or call a waiter to your table, or you can spend like $2 to get games on it for the meal.
Mhm.
Like you can buy a Hangman or like games that are free on the App Store on it.
Yeah.
There's like little free demos, and I guess they just kept playing the free demos.
Mhm.
But you know, point is I'm bored, right?
Yeah.
And so you know this just kind of builds up, and so then when the food comes, you know, I'm eating my food. I think I got the ribs. You know, ribs are great,
Ribs are
especially
good.
the
True.
Applebee's ribs. And you know, we got the 2 for $20. You don't not get the 2 for $20. So, you know how you have to like cut the ribs off individually because it's give you like the rack, I guess.
Yeah.
You just cut them into the little pieces. So in cutting them, my knife had like some barbecue sauce on it,
Mhm.
and so what I did was I held the knife like up to my face. I pointed it at my dad. I was like, "This is gonna be you." And I took the knife and I licked it. I like licked the barbecue sauce off.
That's
Yeah.
can be interpreted in a very different
Whoa.
way.
So the thing is, I have to provide context, right? Because I'm not gonna murder my dad. I love my dad.
I love my wife.
We have a joke, like an ongoing joke, where I'm like mean to him. It's not bullying. It's a joke. So, for example, like I'll say I hate you, but I'll say it in like the delivery that or like the what's it called cadence that you would say I love you to your parents. You know, like the
Yeah.
kind of like the I love you like that.
Yeah.
I'll say like I hate you, but it'll be funny, right?
Does he laugh?
He likes it. He'll like kind of like
Does
Okay.
he?
What,
is this your story, Zach?
well, are you like edging your dad?
Gives me like a happy punch.
So my dad didn't like this, right? And the reason he didn't like this is we're in public, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's like his
It's
he's
like
a no-go.
Aniru.
You know, some people. No, it's not. It's
Opposite
like
of Aniru.
he's like what's it called? He's very, I guess, he likes to uphold a public like figure.
Mhm.
Public
So he
image.
doesn't like for his child. Like he's okay with me doing it at home, but like in public, it's more pushing the line.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did it, and he got angry. He was like, "Stop that!" He's like, "Cut that out." And then I got angry, and I was like, "I hate you." And I probably slammed the table a little bit. Then I did it again, right? And so, the next day, my dad comes home from work, right?
Mhm.
And he says, my coworker says that they were at Applebee's and they saw me yesterday. And they were going to say hi, but they didn't because I was busy or I seemed occupied with my family. And he took it as the coworker's nice way of saying, I saw your son pointing a knife at you, licking barbecue sauce off of it, and didn't want to interact, so he didn't, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's the case, if that guy saw that or if he didn't. But my dad like went with the assumption that that was the case, right?
Mhm.
So, do anecdotes have to have morals or no?
No. It can just be a story.
That's six. That's six, Zach.
Yeah, that is 6, Zach.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Top left.
But you know what? I
Another-
think there is a moral to this story.
Uh-huh.
I think that the co-workers probably got a kick out of that. You
Mhm.
know, I think it's the kind of thing that the fact that it makes for an anecdote is so much more powerful than like what's it called? A moment like that where you get to interact with a colleague. I think a story that you can tell is more important. I think
I see.
stories are very important. I'm of that belief.
Wow, that's deep.
Which led me to another anecdote. I don't want to be the only talker, but if someone else wants
No,
to talk.
no. Keep going. You're carrying the conversation.
Bet.
No, don't.
Oh my god.
That was a
Let the-
misclick.
let
I
the
meant
show-
to click
let
this
the
one.
show die.
Aww.
I meant to click this one. We were doing so well.
Like, why are you?
So here's the rule, Zach. You're not gonna edit this video, are you?
No, not at all.
So the next time you do something like you mess up, I'm gonna reveal something about you that you wouldn't want me to say. So you either can't upload this episode.
You know, I could just edit it.
You're not gonna.
You're not gonna
That's
put them.
true. I'm
I'm
not
calling
going
it
to.
Wait, no, Anish. It looks like a chicken now.
It does. It actually does.
No. Oh wait. Oh.
All right. I'm willing
no,
to
see,
play.
it-
I'm
like-
willing to
it's
play
like a
roulette here.
rooster.
Yeah, no. See, it has like the feet at the bottom, then like the feathers, and then like
All right,
Feathers.
Tzankov. It's a 1 in 8
Anish
chance.
sticker.
Bottom right.
Are you feeling
Bottom
lucky?
right.
Manny, you say bottom right.
I say bottom right. Yeah.
Okay, Tzankov.
I'm gonna go with
Oh, this is
middle
good.
left.
Ooh.
You
Damn.
suck.
Oh,
Okay.
that kind of looks like a
Zach.
chick.
This is your
Continue.
challenge. You have
Oh,
to
that actually
play
looks like
game
the state of
without using
Austria.
a single
That looks
flag.
like chili, but like sideways. Rotating
I have to
90
play the
degrees,
game without
like
using a
counterclockwise.
single flag.
Yeah, that's your
Zach,
challenge.
Zach. Doesn't that look like chili, but what's it called?
Tzankov, I'm not
Counterclockwise,
good
90
enough at
degrees?
this game for that.
He gave up immediately.
I don't think I'm good enough at this game for that.
I'd have to get little stickers and stick them to my screen.
What was my anecdote? I
Whoa.
forgot my story.
Whoa there.
Whoa. That's a
Okay,
little
rolling
risky, don't you
green.
think? Hey,
Who
who's
opened the baby?
who, who
Putting on
connected
the-
Is
to
there
the
a baby
mainframe?
crying in the background? I'm sorry if you guys hear a baby crying in the background. It's Skyler's little brother, sister, brother. I think it's asleep now, but
Yeah, don't worry.
Can you go check on it real quick? It, him, her, she, z, they.
Yeah, man, you don't want to presume.
Mhm.
I didn't. You know what to say about presuming?
Makes a boy makes a pre
And
out
it's
of
30% of the
suing.
population.
It makes a pre. It makes a pre.
It makes a
wait, no.
prez out
It
of
makes
you
a
and
preemie
me.
out of us. It makes a preemie out of us.
Despite making
Makes-
up just
Wow.
4% of the population.
That's nice.
What group would that be?
It's left to the imagination.
Is that you made Pangea?
Right, no, you
Alright, how about this?
That looks like the part
I
of
have an idea.
Canada that hangs down into.
You
What,
guys know about
like
the
the
Canterbury
Toronto
Tales?
part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know how the whole con.
Ah.
You didn't
Now
see
me
that.
have to see
Zachary?
something killing.
Oh,
Zach.
oh
Hold on,
no.
let me think. What's a good one, Zach?
No, please. either there's gonna be a cut in the video very soon here, or I'm too lazy.
I wanna ride that line. I wanna like, you know what I mean?
No, I want edge. You're cutting.
Yeah, what?
Oh my God, Zach.
Now you have to
Oh.
come up with two. I just need to keep failing
I don't want to
faster
be
than you.
mean to you though.
I need to keep failing faster than you can come up with things
Zachary has severe trust issues.
Wow.
Wow, that got very
That's
deep.
crazy.
Wow.
That got very deep very quickly. It's not something I'm very ashamed of though, so I probably won't
You
cut that
should
out.
be.
I have a new gain
Trust issues.
trust issues. Yeah.
You unlocked the trait.
Yeah, I unlocked
the
the
skill
trait.
tree.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's losing
yeah.
a skill, not gaining a skill.
I mean, isn't that what every skill is?
It depends on where you invest your points, right?
No. Because like if you learn a skill, it's just losing not knowing it.
Yes.
Yes.
Therefore, you can never gain a skill. You always gain one and lose one. It's like matter can't be created.
Manny,
Only
that's
be
like that's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard.
That's not true.
You know, so you know how I left for
It's
like
like
20
something on a
minutes before
white
this
girl's
started?
like Instagram account, man.
You know how I left before this whole thing started, this whole shebang?
Yeah.
After I lost my Death versus Monsters game.
Mhm.
But you know what, Zach? Here's what we're gonna do, right? If you lose again,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna show you guys what's it called? I'm okay.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, now I have to set up.
Alright.
Hold on.
It's in the card.
I
It's
was
in the
leaning.
card.
I was leaning back. I wasn't really paying attention to the game.
Yeah.
Now I'm paying attention.
But so I left because I had to go bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And while I was sitting there on that cream-colored porcelain dome, you know, I was thinking because I didn't bring my phone. I got up, I threw my threw my headphones down, I lost.
Yeah.
And I went to go bathroom. I had to go bathroom, and I was there for a while, you know.
Yeah.
And I was thinking because I had my phone to like check Instagram and whatnot. I was thinking about how it was something about irony being really important and like a but like not in the way that I use it, right?
Oh.
Like the irony that I use is allusion or like foreshadowing how you should live your life.
What?
In like a beautiful artistic way where it's like
You're losing me here, Manny.
well, I'm gonna try to pick you back up. See, I'm trying to think of how to describe this and also
Okay.
what exactly happened because you know, moving images distract me very easily, and I have what's it called? I have like a animated phone lock screen,
Tourette's.
Yeah.
and I have it like propped to the right of my computer screen.
I see.
I
And
see the
it's-
clouds rolling by.
Yeah, and it's
All right, but aside from that, it was like how I actually forget what I thought. Fuck me. It was a great thought. I swear to you.
Irony, art.
No, but think about like how can irony connect to how you should live your life, like to the fullest. Oh, I think I have to do with the law of attraction. Yeah, but which is like bullshit. I don't know. I don't believe that. That's fucking stupid.
what?
The law of attraction.
Uh,
The shit where it's like you can't get something that you're chasing, and like if you stop chasing it, then it'll come to you.
oh,
Because
That
like
is dumb.
that doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
Yeah.
I mean like it kind of does in a way.
But if I want like an ice cream and then ice cream truck, should I
Well,
not
yeah,
go to the ice
I
cream
feel
truck
like the law.
or to come to me?
I feel like the law of attraction probably applies more to.
I mean, hence the name.
applies more to more important things than ice cream, as Tzankov.
Yeah, but if it's a law,
Well, you know,
where does the line like stop?
Well, I mean, I think it has to do with the fact that if you want something, it's because you don't have it. Whereas if you have something, you're not like thinking about wanting it. It's like a mindset thing. It's not like a God will give it to you or the universe will bestow it upon you kind of thing.
hmm
But for some reason, I had this thought, and it was really like fleshed out well, right?
yeah.
And it was proper. You know, it was great. I'm like proud of it. I'm like angry that I don't have it anymore.
I hate that. I hate when I think of something and I'm like, oh, this is great, and then by the
Just
time,
forget about it.
yeah, by the time I want to like relay it to somebody, I forget it. I'm like, man,
Aw, shucks.
oh shucks.
Gee willikers. What if that's like
In-
information that's like, too important for like mankind? Like like you discover something that
You cut
and
out.
like you discover something that mankind's not like ready for, right? And so like God's just like, oh shit, and he just like gets rid of that thought.
He snipes it
Yo, it
from
looks
your
like
mind.
North America.
It's like that picture. Hold up. Can we pull up that picture
Oh,
of
yeah, kinda.
God from Family Guy? What's it
Kinda,
called?
that is North America.
Like with a sniper rifle shooting at the ground. You know what I'm talking about?
You know what?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
The
about.
viewers at home can look it up.
Look up God from Family Guy sniper rifle. The Osama bin Laden. What's it called? I forget the name. No, don't worry. It's a shitty joke anyway.
All right, let's get the right side cleared here.
It's,
November 17th, 2019. I
Yeah.
went into my phone, right?
Okay.
I did my password, which
Yeah.
is very reminiscent of the way you solve the think outside of the box riddle,
Okay.
which is, you know, the one with the 9 dots and it's like you have
Yeah.
4 lines to get all of them. It's very reminiscent of that, my phone password. I shouldn't tell you. Fuck
Okay.
off. I swipe that in, right? I hit the little bottom, like the middle button, the home
Mhm.
button. Swipe up, because that's how Samsungs work. I go to the notes section, and I type, Costco is the private school of supermarkets.
Am I stupid?
Okay, so basically, you guys are never going to get to see...
Oh, I am stupid.
oh.
Yeah.
Look.
What about like Sam's Club and stuff?
Yeah, but Sam's Club's like private school.
Do you need a membership for Sam's Club?
Yeah.
No, but it's like less private.
You need to be part of Sam's Club.
Private parts are like the private schools of body parts.
Yes.
Private parts are like the private school.
What?
Wait,
you know which
no.
you know which the penguin of Madagascar is resembles
Wait, no, I
most?
think your last statement was wrong.
You know which
Which
penguin
one,
from the
Maddie?
penguins of Madagascar most represents
Which
private
one,
schools?
Maddie?
Private.
Which? You're not wrong.
Thanks, Manny.
All right.
No, he
Is that
is
your
wrong.
Penguin.
Someone in my gym class brought up the question: if you could get head from one of the penguins of Madagascar, which one would you choose?
You know what? You just
Rico.
reminded me that I was on the toilet. I was thinking about, would you rather have
And the answer
completely
is Rico.
liquid?
I know. How could
number
you choose
two.
anyone but Rico?
Or what's it called?
I was thinking it would be anyone but Rico.
No, but
No.
Rico's freaky. He has
Yeah, I
no
know, are you
gag
kidding?
reflex.
Yeah, he has no gag reflex.
Yeah, no, he'll swallow you whole.
Well, the question is more: do you want to receive a great ejaculatory experience from a penguin?
Yes.
Like honestly, because like wouldn't the best thing to do would be to pick what's it called,
Tzankov, give me some specs here.
the worst one, so that you would
5 times 5.
100.
50-50.
800?
No, 50-50.
No, wait, hold. 2,
2.
No, 50-50.
and then
50,
500.
ye.
How many mines are there?
1.
So
One.
that'll be what, like
Two.
1,000? So put in about 500.
500?
Yeah.
That means he has a 50%
Okay,
chance
fine,
of losing
250.
off of the beginning.
Oh, it has to be 1 to 100.
Oh.
50-50, ye.
Okay, thank
Do
you.
50-50.
Thank you. Sorry, I had to full screen it there.
Back to my would you rather question that I came up with on the toilet. Would you rather have a completely liquid shit, but it would be 2 times as much, or you have like viscous pee, urine, like it like
Oh.
slowly drips. It's like, you know, like maybe
No.
like the consistency.
Oh.
No.
I really
Next
don't.
question.
I'm going
No,
with the
No,
last
no. Here's the thing.
Next-
Here's the thing.
Next
You guys didn't give it
question.
enough thought, and you want to know how I know that?
Oh.
Because if you have viscous pee, it won't make any noise.
No, it would just slop into the bowl.
So imagine,
Slop.
no. Imagine
Viscous
when
pee
you're,
sounds horrible.
imagine when you're,
Painful.
Wait,
imagine
how
when you're
viscous are we
70
talking? Are we talking like milk or like syrup? Like how viscous?
It's
How much
3
more viscous
parts.
than water is
No.
milk?
2 parts.
Milk is a little bit more viscous than water, although it depends what kind of
You know
milk
what?
you
No.
get.
Well, I never
1
know.
part honey, 4 parts milk.
1 part honey, 4 parts milk.
So it's just kind of viscous.
So it's like it's like a fifth,
like honey
It's a
milk.
fifth honey.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Do you put honey in your milk?
No, but
Actually,
you
yes, you can.
No, I'm not
Yeah,
asking.
you can.
No, I'm
I
not
know,
asking if you
not-
can. I'm asking if you do, because
Sometimes, yeah.
I've only met
Have you heard of people doing that?
I've met people who do that. I've seen people do that. I've watched them do it.
It's good. Do it when you're having cookies and milk, and it actually hits more. Put a little bit of vanilla too, like
I
a little
watched-
bit,
Huh.
vanilla, like
I watched
2
a
Really?
drops
guy.
of vanilla.
This was
extract,
at a
yeah.
this was at a summer camp I went to. One of the counselors, he popped 3 vitamin C supplements, which you're only supposed to take 1, but he popped 3, and then he squirted a bunch of honey into his cup of milk and downed the whole thing.
Is this a deer foot?
Yeah, it was.
I don't think that's good for you.
It was really something else. I then watched. I mean, I that guy was like the most in shape man I've ever seen in my life.
Was it traumatizing?
It wasn't traumatizing.
Was it traumatizing seeing a man
You know, at
down?
at that summer camp, I threw up once.
Was it traumatizing?
It was traumatizing. I couldn't
I've-
drink milk for a week afterwards because the reason I threw up was that it was like 100 degrees out.
Oh, you fucking idiot!
And the milk
Thinking-
curdled in my stomach,
What?
Oh, ew.
that can happen.
and I threw
Ow.
up.
That's a thing that happens?
No,
If
that's the
you've
thing.
got-
That if you drink a lot of
If you-
soda together,
If you drink a lot of milk and don't drink enough water, then then basically I was dehydrated. Well, I wasn't dehydrated because I had drank the milk, but like I didn't have any water in me. I just had milk, and the milk curdled in my stomach, and I threw it up. I threw up curdled milk.
Ugh.
Right. Yeah, no, it was awful. It was horrible. AJ was there. AJ watched it happen.
Oh, was he
Laugh.
traumatized?
No, he didn't laugh. He asked me if I was okay.
Mm,
Was he traumatized?
that's not a sign of a good brother.
yeah.
What do you mean that's not a sign of a good brother? If you're genuinely in distress, I think your brother is supposed to ask you if you're okay.
No, he's
Nah.
supposed to laugh first and then say, "Yo, you okay, man? You okay, little guy?"
I think they know you're not okay if you throw up a bunch of milk on the floor. Actually, it was
Well,
on the
Okay,
grass.
look, watching someone throw up is a
Yeah.
lot less funny than it's.
No, yeah, watching people throw up is awful. Although throwing up is significantly worse. It's got to be said. Yeah. Oh man, it was weird cuz at that camp, right? Something bad happened to me every single year, but I still loved going there. It was
For the
weird.
Deerfoot?
Yeah.
Screeded.
Like I dude, the first year I went there, I took a nap during so they have like a schedule, right? And in the middle of the schedule there's a rest hour. And I would have been like maybe 10 the first year I went there. And I overslept, right?
Ooh.
Because I told one of the counselors to wake me up, and he just didn't. Right? He forgot to. And so I wake up like a little bit later, and there's nobody in the cabin, right? because it was during one of the instructional hours, because there were like I wouldn't call them classes. There were areas where you learn stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I was supposed to be at archery at that hour.
Why aren't you at elf practice?
Man, archery's fun.
Archery is fun. Archery's a lot of fun. I never got I never got many awards at that camp. I never got my Okay, no. I'm mad about this one. And AJ's not here to relate to me.
No,
So
I've heard the story
I'm
before.
gonna have to explain it to you, right? Skylar's heard this story before. Okay.
I've heard it too.
So at Deerfoot, right? You there's a system of achievements for each thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and it goes basic, advanced, masters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like for the badges that you get at the camp.
Mm-hmm.
So in order so and most of them you can choose the instructional thing that you go to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a bunch of wildlife ones of which you choose one. There's a bunch of like recreational ones of which you choose one, and then there's the water ones which you choose one. Except the water ones are special because they're in a tier list, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to get your swimming basic first. You have to.
Uh-huh.
You can't move on to any of the other water classes until you get your swimming basic,
As
obviously.
a safety precaution.
Right. Then, once you get your swimming basic, and your swimming basic is really just proving you know how to swim. Like,
Mhm.
that's pretty much it.
Just basic, like tread in water for like
Yeah.
a minute.
Yeah, it's like basic strokes. You have to be able to tread water for a little bit. You have to be able to dive properly. But I don't remember any of this information.
You don't
Like-
know how to dive?
Well, like, I can dive, but I probably can't do it properly.
You can't swim.
I can swim. Shut up. Anyway, then once you get your swimming basic, you move on to your canoeing basic, right? So wait, I'm stupid. So you have to get your canoeing basic,
Mhm.
because a lot of the stuff that you do at Deerfoot, because it's up in the Adirondacks, you have to canoe a lot. Right? There's a lot of canoeing. So you have to get your canoeing basic, right? Which sounds simple enough. Except one part of the canoeing basic is you have to you have to so you learn a bunch of paddle strokes, right?
Uh-huh.
Right? A bunch of normal strokes. And then you have to learn a stroke called the J stroke, right? Which is a really important stroke. It's probably the most important stroke, because the J stroke allows you to go in a straight line while only paddling on one side of the canoe.
Mm.
So, you know how normally when you're using a canoe, if you
Yeah.
paddle on one side, it'll steer the canoe
Mhm.
to the other side, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to switch your side. Well, if you're in a really narrow river or waterway, and you can't switch sides because it's really narrow, then you have to be able to do it all on one side of the canoe. So that's why you use the J stroke, right? So it's a really important stroke. So they make sure that you know it really well. And the way they do that is that so you have to understand the lake. So the lake is called Lake Whitaker, right?
Mhm.
And it's kind of shaped like an eagle. So imagine an eagle, right, with like its wings spread out, like an American eagle,
Yeah.
right? And then so you start at the tail feathers at the bottom, which is kind of like a seashell shape, right? Right, like tail feathers are.
Yeah.
So you start at the bottom, and you have to go up to what's called the point. It's just called the point,
Good point.
which is about a quarter mile away on the lake, and it's where like the tail feathers stop and the wing begins.
Mhm.
So like you can imagine it's literally a peninsula. It's a point that sticks out into the lake.
Mhm.
And you go to the point, and then you turn around and you come back. right? So it's a half mile.
Yeah.
Of canoeing, which is not that far. It's a really short distance, and it can be done in 10 minutes. Maybe not
Sounds
even.
about right. Yeah.
Like, it does not take long. Not even 10 minutes. Probably takes like 5 or 6 minutes. Like, it does not take a lot of time. Right? Simple enough test. And you have to... The rules of the test are you have to use the J-stroke, obviously. And you can only switch sides of the canoe, the side of the canoe you're paddling on 3 times. And that's really so that you can turn around once you get to the point. Because you get to the point and then you have to turn around, and the best way to turn around is to switch sides. So I learned the J-stroke, right? First year. So I went to this camp for 6 years. Right? I got my swimming basic on the first day of the first year that I went. I got my canoeing basic on the first day of the first year that I went. Or my swimming basic, sorry. Not my canoeing basic. I never got my canoeing basic. And in the first year, I knocked out everything I had to do for my canoeing basic, other than the point and back. Right? I knocked out everything else. I knocked out all of the strokes that you have to learn, all of the requirements, except for the point and back. Right? And I ran out of time, because it's a 2-week camp. I ran out of time before I could do the point and back that year. And I was like, okay, next year I'll come back and I'll do it on like the first day, and then I'll be done. Right? Next year rolls around. I relearn the J-stroke real quick, get a refresher because it had been a year. And then
You suck at this game.
Look, I'm trying to talk while I'm playing Minesweeper, and it makes the game a lot more difficult.
Can you like just
Yo, pass the controller.
pass
Pass
like
the
the
joystick.
talking ox. Pass the talking tissue.
No. I'm gonna finish this story. I've gotten through all of the necessary exposition for you to understand my pain.
No, but like leave it at a cliffhanger. Like leave it here.
No.
Like-
I've just gotten through all of the boring stuff of the story.
I'll give you
Exactly.
$5.
It's actually not a very interesting story, but it makes me mad.
Zach, I'll walk to your house tomorrow and give you a 10.
So, long story short, right? Long story short.
So you made the story 5 words longer. Okay.
Long story short, I learned the J-stroke every year for 6 years. I relearned it and relearned it. And every year I tried the point and back at least 5 times, and I failed every time because I was taught the J-stroke a different way each time. Right? And the counselors that judged me would they would teach me how to do the J-stroke, right? They would teach me how to do it, and then I would show them how to do it, and they'd be like, yeah, that's right, you've got it right. And then they'd put me in the canoe, and I'd start doing it, and they'd be like, no, you've got it all wrong. And I'd be like, I'm literally doing what you just told me to do. And they'd be like, no, it's like this. And they'd start doing exactly what I had been doing. I'm like, all right, thanks. Right? And then... And that happened over and over and over again for 6 years. I learned how to do the J-stroke 6 different ways. I still don't know which way is the right way to do it.
But is it like working?
Yeah, each of them work.
So why does it matter that you don't do it like their nitpicky way?
Well, because it meant that I had to relearn it each year, which takes time. It takes time and practice, right? But then once I start doing it, right? They're really different counselors are really nitpicky about the test itself. Like, some of them think you can't steer off course at all. Like, even if there's a strong wind, you cannot stay off course at all. And like some of them think that like you have to you have to do like a bunch of like you can only switch twice instead of 3 times. Some of them think that, like, if you do it in the early morning, you're cheating. Because there's fog.
What does that mean?
Like if you do it early in the morning, there's fog on the lake, right?
Oh.
So the visibility is lower, so they think you're cheating, right? Which, by the way, that's the classic way at the camp to do the point and back. Like, that's the way most people I talk to, either they got a counselor who didn't care, right? And just, like, passed them.
Is it that hard?
Or they did it. No, it's not hard. It's just all of the counselors are really nitpicky about it.
Which makes it hard. Not the stroke, but passing.
Yeah. Passing is what's difficult. The test itself is easy. It's the grading.
Canoeing's really easy.
It's the grading that's difficult. So yeah, I never got my canoeing basic because, and the special problem that happened was when I would learn it from one chief, right? The counselors were called chiefs. I would learn it from one chief, and then a different chief would be the one.
Chief kick a bitch or chief slap a hoe?
This ain't it, Chief.
A different chief would be the one teaching me it, right?
Master Chief.
So like one chief would teach me it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then a different chief would be testing me, and he'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm doing the thing that chief his name was
Kikabich taught me.
yeah. I was doing the thing that Chief Kikabich
Slap
taught
a
me,
hoe.
right? And Chief Slapaho would be like, "No, that's not how you do it at all." And yeah, it made me mad because I never got it. I never did it. I never got to move on to sailing. I wanted to do sailing. I never got to move on to sailing. I never got to move on to kayaking because I was stuck at my canoeing basic for 6 years.
Did AJ get his canoeing basic?
Yeah, you know how AJ got his canoeing basic the first year he went? By doing it
How?
in the fog.
Oh, but they like patched that.
Like the counselor couldn't even see him. Yeah, no, by the time I got there they patched that exploit.
That's fucked up.
Damn.
I also never got my archery advanced because in the middle of me getting my archery advanced, like I had everything ticked off except for I needed to do 2 hours of arrow repair. Right? So I needed to repair arrows for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just, that's just a maintenance thing because they need people to repair the arrows, and why not use the kids and teach them how to repair arrows, right?
Mhm.
Makes sense. So I need to do 2 hours of arrow repair, right? And I finished the year with that. And I was like, okay, the next year, literally day 1, I'm going to do 2 hours of arrow repair and then move on to my archery masters, right? In between the years, they added a new thing to the archery advanced. And it was to get a perfect round at 15 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't that difficult. But I just never managed to do it.
Huh.
Like, because so a perfect round is getting all 6 arrows in the yellow.
Yeah.
Which isn't particularly difficult. But I was, for some reason, man, I was, oh man, this is digging up so many, like, buried memories of things that I disliked at that camp. I really enjoyed going there, but there were a few things that made me upset. I got a perfect round at 15 yards. I did. I got a perfect round. And the chief comes over to inspect it, and he says, "Oh, no, that one's in the red." And it wasn't. It wasn't in the red. It was in the yellow.
What's his name?
I don't remember.
We got you.
Let it out, Zach. Like,
Dude,
say his name.
I genuinely don't remember which chief it was.
What would you say if you could see him right now?
His house.
Although there was one chief that I really liked. He was I actually have him friended on Steam.
What's his age?
Although I haven't talked to him for a while. I don't know.
What's his location?
I think he lives in his
Yeah, that's fucked up.
I think he lives
ASL.
I think he's in his early 30s.
Dude, that's like antiquated. Only I know what that means.
Oh.
He has a Minecraft server.
Leave a comment if you know what ASL means.
Does he really have a Minecraft server?
He does have a Minecraft server. He's in his early 30s. I think he's married. I'm pretty
have a
sure he's
kid?
married. I
So
don't,
pedophile.
I don't think he has a kid. He's a nice guy. He's a really nice guy. His name is Brian. He's a nice guy.
How my name's Ryan.
Call me Gabe.
Oh
by the
my.
way.
I meant to right click.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I was, and that was, I really liked Chief Brian. He had a lot of board games. We would play a lot of board games that I forget the name of and I've never seen since.
Describe them to me. I got you.
There was
Yeah,
one where
Minnie's got you.
there was one where it was like a haunted mansion. It was like a roguelike, right? Like you go room to room, but it was a board game, and it was in a haunted mansion.
I think I know what you're talking about. Actually,
There was one where it was like a dog fighting game. It was like, do you remember the book series Paper Yoda?
yeah.
I do.
The
Origami Yoda.
Origami Yoda book series. So
I didn't like Star Wars, but I loved that series.
So you know.
Was it Betrayal at House on the Hill?
So you know how in one of the Origami Yoda books, I don't remember which one. In one of the Origami Yoda books,
Wow, fake fan.
there's there's a game where they like flick
The pencil.
they flick like little paper things that represent like X-wings or something.
Mhm.
No, see, you've got it all wrong.
like,
What they
shoot
do is
each other?
They put a pencil on a paper, right?
Oh yeah.
split
They
it up?
they
Yeah.
flick the pencil,
And the line is where the ship goes.
and the line is where the ship goes. Yeah, so it was like that game, but different, and with cardboard pieces, and it was like World War I dog fighting.
See, this guy's a history nerd.
It was really cool. He was
Is this the reason you like history? Did this guy?
No, this guy didn't put me on history. Civ 5 put me on history.
But we'll put you on Civ 5.
The Yogs cast. So you could say the Yogs cast put me on my passion in life.
Is that why you like them so much?
It's one of the reasons I have respect for them, although it's come out recently that like half of them are pedophiles, so go figure.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah. Like
Tell
Are
me,
the
tell
are
me
the
that Lewis
important
and
ones
Simon are
pedophiles?
no,
pedophiles.
Lewis and Simon aren't, but
Okay.
Have we
No,
had
I'm
any,
talking about six.
Any more Me Too movies?
no, Sips is great. Sips he live streams on Twitch now.
You think the important ones are Lewis and Simon?
No, Sips is the important one. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you're right.
He has 2 kids, you know. He has a wife and 2
that he
kids.
fucks regularly because he's a pedophile.
But like it's really weird watching his watching
Watching him fuck his children.
watching his live
Yeah,
streams.
that
They have abnormally tight orifices.
Watching his live streams is really weird because
And he's 2 standard deviations higher when it comes to girth.
What's the standard deviation in girth?
You know, I think Zach can't cut this out
I would
now
tell
because you got
what
to
you wouldn't-
explain.
wouldn't like to know, Anish. Girth pills unbearable.
so yeah, no, it's weird because on Sips' streams sometimes his kids will be on stream, right? Like they'll just walk in the room. And
They allow that on Twitch now?
shut up, man. It's wholesome content.
Yo.
So wholesome.
Yeah,
Do you like
some holes
wholesome
getting
meat?
filled. Oh, I had a lapse in judgment.
You
I film an apology video.
You can't say that.
We gotta film an apology video. Zach, this is why Mongoloids attack my video.
Mongoloids.
That's a reference. That's a
It's true.
reference.
That's a reference. Yeah, his kids show up on his streams, and it's weird because he lives in Jersey, Old Jersey, the island, off the coast
That's
of
a
France.
thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
He
Every
lives.
new has an old.
He lives in Old Jersey, right? And his wife is English, right? But he's
She's
Canadian.
out in England?
So he has a Canadian accent, right? But his wife has an English accent, and his kids have English accents. So like it's weird listening to him talk to his kids because his kids have like really upper class English accents, like Tim accents.
Uh-huh.
But then
Whoa.
he has a Canadian accent. It's just weird. It sounds like they're not related, but they are.
Is Angry Tom a pedophile?
No, I don't. God, I hope not. He's my favorite one.
What?
He's very relaxing to listen
He
to.
is. He's very relaxing to listen to and watch. He reminds me a lot of you, Tzankov. I
Yeah,
think
I
I've
know.
said that before.
Yeah, you have.
Oh,
And that was the first time I heard Angry Tom. I was like, okay, I'll give this guy a look at it. He was very relaxing.
he has a very similar sense of humor to you.
Yeah.
And he also has very similar tastes in movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Although
I haven't watched too much of him.
he is a Warhammer nerd and you're not, so.
Is
But
Warhammer something to get invested in?
Yes.
okay.
Okay,
Look,
science fiction is literally for depressed people.
Warhammer 40K.
Manny,
is
come on, don't call
You're
me out
so
like that.
unsatisfied with your life that you gotta
Manny-
live a second
Okay,
one.
Tzankov.
Dog.
Warhammer 40K sucks. Actually, that's not true. Warhammer
Wow.
40K
Same
is
thing about
that's a
Warhammer
controversial
40K
take.
is interesting, but it's not as interesting as Warhammer Classic.
But
Warhammer
you see, I would love to love Warhammer Classic, but no one does.
Warhammer Classic is high fantasy, like Lord of the Rings style high fantasy, while 40K is what they call grim dark science fiction. They invented the term because it's just super depressing science fiction. Like really depressing science fiction. The most depressing science fiction.
Okay.
But I like Warhammer Classic more. I think it's more interesting, but that's because I like fantasy more than well, it's not that I like fantasy more than science fiction. It's that I don't like that science fiction. I prefer high fantasy to grimdark science fiction. Because grimdark science fiction just makes me sad.
What's Warhammer even like about?
Well, it's a board game. Well,
Uh-huh.
it's not even a board game, it's a tabletop.
It's a
game.
tabletop, not board game.
It's a
People
Oh
table.
my god.
People will literally lynch you for calling it a board game.
I know. I don't care though. It's a tabletop
Yeah,
game.
and people will lynch people because of the color of their skin.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a tabletop game. But there's a bunch of lore surrounding it, and there are a bunch of like books. All of the books are terrible. Some people would get mad at me for saying that, but all of the books are terrible.
Have you read all of them?
No, I haven't read them,
Wow.
but I'm saying that authoritatively. It's like
After
how
all.
it's like how all of like or like most of the extended universe Star Wars books are terrible.
Mhm.
Like it's like that. Most fan created work for things like that is bad.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
But yeah, I'm yeah. It's like it's a lot like Lord of the Rings. It's a lot like Lord of the Rings, and if you crossed it with what's it
European
called?
history.
European history and what's it called? What's the popular one? Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. It's like if you crossed so imagine that the White Walkers, instead of being an army of zombie men, it was evil gods, what they call chaos gods, invading with armies of chaos soldiers. I meant to right click there. Look, I'm not very good at Minesweeper. I'm also inept.
Yeah, I figured.
But yeah, it's interesting. I'd suggest if you really the best way to get into the lore of Warhammer is not by reading any of the lore of Warhammer. It's by like playing Warhammer Total War.
Oh.
Yeah, no, there's one channel I literally just watched. On a Manny is right that science fiction is for depressed people. Because I would basically spend it was an entire summer basically where I would just watch this one channel of 40K to learn the lore of it. It
Yeah,
was very good.
yeah. Watching YouTube videos
Alright,
is
that's
the-
great.
Okay.
Somehow I made my crosshair like diagonal in this video game.
In what video game?
Strafe.
I don't know what that is.
I know, but it doesn't mean my crosshair isn't diagonal right now.
What do you mean by it's diagonal?
What
It's
the
an
fuck
X?
do you think diagonal means?
Is it an
It was an
X?
oval, and it's currently graphing a negative linear function.
I see. Um,
Can we get segments on the show? I have like ideas for segments.
look, it's only episode 3.
What's our budget?
Uh,
0
$3.
Who's paying?
for the
So
whole
here's the thing,
year.
right? For this next bit, I'm gonna need like what's it called? I'm gonna need a couple pixie sticks. So if
A
you
couple.
I'll be grand if you could get those to me.
Are you gonna pretend it's like cocaine or something and snort it? Haha, funny cack.
Did you just say
Fine.
haha funny cack?
For this next segment, you know what?
Rule 3?
This
Rule
next
3?
segment- Alright, segment. Relationship advice that only works for gay people. Okay.
You
Zach,
can
your
go
turn.
first, man.
Zach,
It's my turn.
it's your turn.
I don't have any relationship advice that only works for gay people.
No hymen, no diamond.
No hymen, no diamond.
I'm no diamond.
Uh,
What
wait.
I feel like that doesn't work.
How long do we want these to go for?
Dude, it's your call.
You have to finish it.
We're at the hour 2 mark.
Dude, it's your call.
I
Okay,
think
listen up.
I think they should be an
Listen
hour.
Alright.
You know what? I'm gonna call it.
No, keep
No,
keep
no,
going.
hold up.
But we
need to-
break
have
into
one-
multiple
we need to give
episodes.
No, I'm not gonna
relationship
break
advice
it
to the
into
gay
multiple
people watching this.
episodes.
Because I can guarantee you, every person watching this is gay as fuck.
Manny, do you want relationship advice?
Hold up. Gay relationship advice. When you're sucking dick, use your lips.
Would you know?
Feel like,
Would you
um,
know?
can I please finish?
No, sorry for
So-
interrupting.
When you're going like in, right? Because it's like in and out, right? When you're going in, use your lips so that your teeth don't like scratch, and then when you're going out, you can release them.
Did you get this from like that porn video
Okay.
you were talking to me
Ah, that's helpful.
You were
I thought we
talking.
were ending it. Okay, stop talking.
Zach, it looks like a fish. It looks like a fish.
On that note, we'll end it.
No, at the top there's a fin. At the bottom.
Oh, we should have like
a.
Zach. We should have like a theme where like you have an hour to finish the puzzle, and if you don't finish the thing, then there's like a punishment.
See, and it has
Uh-huh.
a tail.
Zach,
Okay,
you
so the
should
punishment-
you should have an after credits.
The punishment is gonna be that you have to buy me pixie sticks. Well, you know what? Buy me sea monkeys. I'll take this.
Tzankov.
Yeah?
You wanna play a tabletop game?
Sure.
We have to find a table though.
You mean right now?
Not right now, but like during the quarantine.
What is a tabletop game?
I have a Star Wars tabletop game, Tzankov.
How are you gonna play that?
Also, I only have 3 pieces for it, so
Oh.
it's not particularly interesting. I also don't remember how to play it.
You know, I have HeroScape. That's probably a tabletop game.
But it's like Warhammer kinda. It's like Warhammer, but Star Wars space battle. Anyway, I think this is where we'll end it. Episode 3, the return, because I haven't made one of these since July of 2019. So this is
Not like
the
you had anything else to do.
this is the return. There are probably going to be more
Can
of
we make
these.
a graduation edition?
There are probably going to be a lot more of these
What graduation?
because I think, you know, with the quarantine going on, I have nothing better to do than make these at 5:30 a.m.
All right, as they say, fold paper in a V to make a little name card that you can put on your desk, so the teacher can memorize your name easier for the first few couple weeks of school.
That's true. And on that note, uh, good, good night.
Like a V?